scale were getting increasingly fed up with how it was run. Since the players only got their salary and about 10% of the profits, they felt like they were doing all the heavy lifting while the big investors took home most of the cash. JP eventually told John Chang and Bill Kaplan that he wanted to be done, that it wasn't worth all the stress, that things would be different if they weren't losing so much money, but they were. They toyed with the idea of just letting JP drop out, having Semyon replace his role in leadership and continuing the team, but when Semyon decided not to take that position because of the growing dissatisfaction among team members, they decided it was time to close up shop. By December 93, Strategic Investments cashed everyone out, and that would be that, except Semyon had other ideas. After 2 years, Strategic Investments was no more, but Semyon Dukak wasn't done gambling just yet. He wanted to form a new team, Amphibian Investments. Players will become investors. The operation expanded through the mid-90s, eventually employing over 60 players across 5 cities. Their total winnings reportedly over $4 million. The end of Strategic Investments also gave rise to the Reptiles, another spin-off team, whose story was later told in the book Bringing Down the House. In total, these teams spun off from the MIT legacy were responsible for over $6 million in losses to the casinos. But like all great teams, their time was limited, and after a few years it all came crashing down. Most of the students returning to their original fields that they were studying for at MIT. But the legend lived on. Bringing Down the House sparked heated debate over its accuracy from team members, but it captivated readers and later audiences with the film 21, which introduced a new generation to the world of card counting. And casinos responded. They shuffled more often, they added automatic shufflers, they changed the rules, but the damage was done. The story had spread, books were written, movies were made, icons were born. The MIT Blackjack team inspired a new wave of advantaged players determined to beat the system. The house today may be stronger, the odds tighter, but there's always new players stepping up to take their shot. Their stories, well, those are for another day, so make sure you subscribe.
Here we go!
5. LEGO Star Wars: The Video Game released. A puzzle platformer with a heavy emphasis on collectibles. There was a true Jedi meter in every level that you filled up by collecting studs. There were augments and ability unlocks via the game's red bricks, and of course, the most iconic pickup, the game's mini-kits. In 2022, LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga released. A puzzle platformer with a heavy emphasis on collectibles. There was a true Jedi meter in every level that you filled up by collecting studs, various Kyber bricks scattered around the open world that helped you purchase augments and abilities, and of course, the most iconic pickup, the return of the game's mini-kits. Although its presence in the very first LEGO game and the most recent LEGO game are nearly identical, the journey to and from these points could not be more convoluted. From physical design changes to functionality, and even the absence of the item itself, I think it's time somebody went through and documented the history of the LEGO mini-kit. Earring check, LEGO stud earring check. I also got this guy in Seattle. It's me. You can make these things in Seattle in a little Lego shop. And now that I put them in a video, I can make that whole vacation a tax deductible. I'd like to say that 2 decades ago was a simpler time, but that's only because we were dumb kids with no awareness of the world around us. Things have always been tough, but there was one thing that children across the world had in common: instruction manuals and a Nintendo GameCube. In my case, I started playing video games on the Wii, and missed out on the prior console generation, and as a result, both LEGO Star Wars 1 and 2. However, this one stopped me from retroactively taking a look at the mini-kit status in both these games, and the first thing we have to acknowledge is that we're wrong. These aren't mini-kits, they're canisters. Well, at least they used to be. Take a look at the in-game hints in LEGO Star Wars 1, 2, and the complete saga. These little white pickups are referred to as canisters, and the builds that they create are the mini-kit models. Confusingly enough, the in-game files contradict this, with the audio files for both collecting and summoning the canisters using the abbreviation MK for minikit. So I guess the term can be used interchangeably, and nowadays minikit is the commonplace calling card. In the first 2 LEGO Star Wars games, you can find 10 canisters with each story level, with each contributing a small chunk to a larger build called the minikit model. These represent iconic scenes from the level they came from, like the Republic cruiser in Negotiation or the droidicas from Toy Factory. Be careful not to get these confused with the Super Kit model, which is instead created by filling up every stud meter, and usually unlocks a bonus level alongside it. The mini-kit models, on the other hand, are their own reward, besides the occasional character unlock. Functionally, kits remained the exact same in the complete saga as well, which is an amalgamation of the first 2 LEGO Star Wars games rolled into one. The hints still refer to the kits as canisters, and the location of each kit is roughly the same as the previous entries. However, something did change in the complete saga. Shit got blue. These are challenge kits or blue canisters or whatever you want to call them. There are 10 per level just like the regular kits, but they only appear when you select the challenge mode from the menu. You're then given 20 minutes to find the blue canisters scattered around the map, and after you do, the game gives you a boatload of money. And that's it. As if the one story playthrough, one free play playthrough, and the super stories weren't enough, we have yet another reason to play through an old level. The blue guys don't assemble to make like a blue droidica or something. They just exist solely to add to the 100% counter, and that's it. And I think TT Games realized how pointless that inclusion was, and so they would never return in this form again. If I had to guess, the reason that challenge kits were brought into existence was to explore the idea of changing mini-kit locations in the complete saga to make it feel like less of just a rehash of the first 2 games. But reworking the kits would often require a full rework of the levels as well, so they were delegated to their own separate mode instead. If they were going to do it at all, this was the way to go. The original kits just felt so at home, so brilliant and organic.
Say that again?
Brilliant has been sponsoring this channel for as far back as 2022, and I'm excited to say they're continuing to do so. It's one of my favorite products I've tried out for this channel personally, and after I fill you in on what they're all about, I think you'll want to give it a shot too. It's an online learning program that really pushes a hands-on learning agenda, giving you real practical problems to solve that just feel applicable. It's not all just in one subject or field either. The courses they offer span a bunch of different topics. There's of course your maths and sciences, but also more niche stuff like programming, data analysis, and modern talking points such as AI. Every one of these is handpicked to offer you the best experience you can have and make sure it's useful in your day-to-day life. The best part, you don't even need to be at home to learn. With Brilliant's app, you can do your quick lessons and practice sessions on the go to make the most of your time. Building a daily habit of learning is one of the most important things you can do. And what better way to start than with Brilliant, at home or on the go? If this sounds interesting to you and you want to help support the channel, go to brilliant.org/BD1Crew to get a full 30 days for free alongside 20% off a premium annual subscription. You can find that same link in the description below, or just scan the QR code on screen. It's as simple as that. Thanks again to Brilliant for sponsoring this video. Before we exit the first stretch of LEGO Star Wars games, there is an aspect of the mini-kit that often gets overlooked when they're brought up in conversation. The games that are cited with giving mini-kits a practical use are Pirates of the Caribbean and Batman 2, depending on how lenient you are with the word practical. But rarely do I hear the mini-kit bonuses brought up as a counter. These are present exclusively in the complete saga as an episode bonus right alongside with the super stories and character bonuses. The goal of these is to fly, walk, or hop around the theme map map and collect 1 million studs. The gimmick here is that you can only play as minikit models you built throughout your time with the game. These are an awesome way to integrate the kits into the game as something more than just a cosmetic statue-like reward. Obviously, this idea would be taken and evolved by Batman 2 later down the line, but we'll build that bridge when we come to it. Until then, minikits would go back to serving a single cause as they did in the first 2 Star Wars games. That cause being, looking pretty. While the purpose of the minikit would remain the same over our next 2 games, LEGO Indiana Jones The OG Adventures and LEGO Batman the video game, there were some major design changes and naming conventions that would help them stand out just a little bit more. For instance, LEGO Indiana Jones uses treasure chests instead of canisters, which is probably why the term of minikit was so unambiguously accepted. It encompasses every type of this collectible. Funny thing is, the word minikit is never used in this game at all. I went through all the game's hints and text files, and the only 2 times minikit is even mentioned is to say, yeah, they're called artifacts now. When LEGO Batman the video game released later that year, we were in a similar boat. Gone were the days of minikit models, and in were the days of the trophy gallery. The minikits themselves returned to a canister design, this time with just a black and yellow color scheme with a small little bat symbol in the middle in case you forgot what game you were playing. Besides the title and design changes, minikits remained static for the franchise's first 5 entries. But what happened next? Nobody expected. Minikits were gone. Kind of. LEGO Indiana Jones 2 was leaps and bounds away from the design philosophy of our first 5 games. The levels were all condensed into one room to make way for a collection of hub worlds, which is possibly the most controversial design change in the franchise's history. I for one enjoyed these separate hub worlds, and thought the way they spread collectibles out was pretty innovative. Red brick extras were now delegated to the overworld to free up space in levels, and a lot of character unlocks followed suit. These weren't the only 2 things to leave these standard levels though, as collectible minikits were removed. Instead, the minikits functionality was used in something called a treasure level. These treasure levels were altered versions of story levels, but were more puzzle-oriented. When you solved a puzzle the game wanted you to, a minikit would spawn, and collecting it would end the level. They served the same purpose in the game's bonus levels as well. This also started the first shift from the classic 10 per level, and brought it all the way down to less than 1 per level on average. They do appear at one more point in the game though, and that's for the Super Kit. Previously, the Super Kits would assemble themselves automatically, but here, after you acquired all 15 true adventurers per hub, you could break the model minikits that held pieces for the Super Kit. The idea of assembling the Super Kit would remain a staple for most games in the future, like the following entry of LEGO Harry Potter years 1 through 4. TT Games used their experience with LEGO Indy 2 to create one massive multi-purpose hub in years 1 through 4, and also dedicated more time to the levels themselves. It was a nice middle ground for the large shakeup that was Indy 2, but once again, things changed. We weren't dealing with canisters and chests, and we weren't even dealing with the number 1 at all. We were dealing with 4. Minikits in this game are called house crests, and there's one for each Hogwarts house in every level. LEGO Harry Potter years 1 through 4 may not be one of my favorite games, but credit where credit is due. This was, at the time, the ideal solution. LEGO game levels were a bit overcrowded in Batman 1, with so much to do. By scaling back the amount of collectibles in a given level, they were allowed to make the puzzles more intricate and unique. They had both more time and more space to explore them. I really like how this game flows, but of course, because consistency is a foreign concept to this era of LEGO gaming, all that experimentation was undone by LEGO Star Wars 3: The Clone Wars. While it was never really apparent what minikits did in the first few games besides just assemble a tiny build, it is very clear that here, they are used to unlock characters, more specifically ones from the original trilogy. The only big change between LEGO Star Wars 3: The Clone Wars and LEGO Star Wars: The Complete Saga is the one light on the bottom of the minikit. It used to be red and now it's green, that's it. That is literally the only change. LEGO Pirates of the Caribbean keeps playing it safe. They once again do these standard 10 minikits per level. This time though, the design has changed from a canister to a ship in a bottle to more fit the game's aesthetic. In this game, you don't get characters for collecting all 10. You instead get to build the model ship that each level's minikit assembles in the hub, and drive it around in the small code. That's really all there is for the minikits in this game. Pirates introduced a new kind of collectible in the form of compass items, so it took a little bit of the focus away. Harry Potter years 5 through 7 copied the exact design of years 1 through 4, including that total number of 4 per level, but the functionality has slightly changed. In the first, you could build minikit models in the basement of the Leaky Cauldron. But in this game, there really is no direct reward. The gold bricks you get for 100% completing a level contribute to a stud fountain in the cutscene room of the Leaky Cauldron, but you don't get anything for the minikits specifically, which made them feel a little less worthwhile, an issue that LEGO Indiana Jones 2 suffered from immensely. At this point in the TT Games LEGO universe, minikits have become an absolute staple. Sure, finding their footing took some experimentation and some back and forth, but what they settled on was picture perfect. Each franchise had their own spin on the idea, whether it's design, functionality, or even how many there were. They were consistent within their own bubble. This showed no signs of stopping either. So when we finally got a sequel to LEGO Batman the video game, we felt right at home with the same number, same design, but a much improved practicality. Taking a page right out of Pirates of the Caribbean's book, every minikit you assemble becomes a vehicle you can use to fly around the overworld. But unlike Pirates, these aren't delegated to a specific area, and they can be used anywhere. This is the peak of LEGO minikits. It's a solid amount of collectibles to find per level, and the reward is genuinely cool. It's the perfect mix we've been waiting for, and LEGO Lord of the Rings messes it all up. This game as a whole is incredible, but man, is there way too much to find inside of levels, and so much of it overshadows the minikit. There's 3 treasures, a blacksmith clan, stud meter stuff, and 10 minikits, all amounting to 15 different things to accomplish in free play, which is a lot. The minikits themselves feel pretty uninspired. It's similar to the LEGO Indiana Jones treasure chest, but with different, brighter contents inside. I don't know, I feel like a treasure chest isn't really fitting for Lord of the Rings. It's not like they're really on a treasure hunt in the same way that Indy is. I'm not the best person to offer an alternative, but I just think it could have been done a little better. The minikits still build a small model ranging from Mount Doom itself to a tiny little dragon guy, but they don't serve any purpose, and this let me down. Introducing the idea that the minikit models can be functional, and then taking it away in the next game, it's criminal. And yes, the mithril items are such a fun addition, but they aren't tied to the minikits, rather the level's treasures. The minikits took a back seat here, and that remains the case in our next game, LEGO City Undercover. This might be the absolute low point for minikits. They don't build anything, there's no reward or fanfare for collecting all 4 parts of the police crest in a level, and no super build. These are hardly minikits, not sharing the name nor building a minikit model. There's again only 4 in a given level as well, making it more similar to a game like Harry Potter Years 5 through 7, or somehow even less useful. We get a sort of return to form with a brand new LEGO game franchise, LEGO Marvel. Specifically, LEGO Marvel Superheroes 1. This game hits another peak. Not only is the canister design back, albeit just a tiny bit altered, but we're given 10 minikits in a level as well, and they finally get their own new unique reward again. When you collect all 10 minikits in a level, you don't get any minikit build, but a comic based off the level you just played. It fits the game's aesthetic wonderfully, gives a reason for grabbing them outside of just 100%, and adds a lot of charm to the experience as a whole. I can't stress enough how perfect this feels. The games that I feel positively about going for 100% in are the ones that make it worth it. When the only reward you get for being a collectibles nut is extra studs at 100%, you kind of just gotta think like, really? I've beaten the full game, what else do I need these for? Even with Pirates, it's fun that I can drive these around, but it doesn't change my gameplay experience at all, nor my level of motivation. The comics are awesome for this reason, but I still think that Batman 2 did it best, because those kits have an actual practical use. Now there is an entire subset of minikits I've been avoiding talking about this entire video, mainly because I'm not well versed in the subject. The LEGO handhelds though are just as important to the minikits history as the mainline console games are, but without any real experience to compare it to, I couldn't do the topic justice, so please welcome in friend of the channel Cam Reviews to give you guys the brief history of LEGO minikits on the go.
LEGO handheld games are pretty cool. These consoles were, for a lot of people, myself included, the main way of experiencing the games. Well, they are basically recreating the console counterpart. Each and every version has a multitude of quirks and exclusive content. One of the most notable parts of these is how they handle the minikits throughout the different games. This starts with the games published 2 LEGO Star Wars games for the Game Boy Advance. LEGO Star Wars 1 and its cleverly named sequel, LEGO Star Wars 2. The first game has 5 Death Star holograms scattered throughout the level that you'll have to turn on by completing a puzzle, or you can just walk over it. I could be wrong, but you don't get anything from them. I mean, there isn't even a hub of you can explore rewards. LEGO functionality is pretty much the same as you would expect, but the reward for collecting all 10 in a level is a character. This game would also be released for Nintendo DS, and is considered one of the buggiest DS games of all time. But as far as mini-kits go, there are 10 in every level, and if you collect all 10 in a normal level, you get a bounty hunter character, and in a spaceship level, you get a spaceship. After how broken LEGO Star Wars 2 was, TT Games stepped in and developed LEGO Star Wars Complete Saga on the DS, which was previously done by Amazing Entertainment, so this is their first time developing a LEGO handheld game. Complete Saga features the usual 10 mini-kits that reward you with a miniature spaceship you could view in the hub. Not as cool as the characters in my opinion, but it's following what the console version does. I find it so charming when you return to a level and try to recollect the mini-kit and is replaced with a bright green checkmark. It's not necessarily a feature, but it becomes a staple in every LEGO handheld game. Also, to unlock one of the mini-kits, you have to collect 3 easily missable juice boxes, which after consulting the wiki, I found they are actually fruit purees, but whatever. The mini-kits in LEGO Indiana Jones are functionally the same, but they changed the design to look like trophies to represent artifact pieces, which I think is pretty cool, because after collecting all 10, you unlock an artifact model that you can view in the hub. The mini-kits in LEGO Batman shake things up a little. There are 5, not 10 to collect in every level. Ooh. The design is the same as the console version, and the reward is vehicle models you can view in the hub. I also want to point out that every level has a collectible card that unlocks art you can view in the Batcave. This is exclusive to the handheld version, and I just thought it was pretty cool. LEGO Indiana Jones 2 on the DS is very different to its console counterpart. This game's story mode focuses on the Crystal Skull, and none of the levels are based on the first 3 movies. It's also the first LEGO game that features characters audibly talking. But in terms of mini-kits, they are golden hats, and there are 10 of them in every level that have the same reward as all the games before it. Viewable models in the hub. I'm going to speed through the next few because things stay pretty much the same for a while. LEGO Harry Potter 1 through 4, 5 golden witch hats, unlocks viewable models based on scenes from the film. LEGO Star Wars 3, 10 mini-kits, unlocks viewable models. LEGO Pirates of the Caribbean, 10 ships in a bottle, unlocks viewable models. LEGO Harry Potter 5 through 7, 5 golden witch hats, and trust me, you're never going to guess what the unlockable is. LEGO Batman 2, 5 mini-kits that unlock models, and one of the most unique collectibles in any game, sound bites. In the hub, you can listen to the low-quality audio of the villain encounters from the console version. Oh, it definitely makes up for not having an open-world hub to explore. Speaking of open-world hubs, LEGO Lord of the Rings has the first in a LEGO handheld game, if you don't count LEGO Indiana Jones 2 for its weird free roam sort of thing. But this game features no mini-kits, and only has 2 treasure items that can be collected in the levels, and traded with NPCs in the hub world. LEGO City Undercover, The Chase Begins, has no levels, and therefore no mini-kits. LEGO Chibo Laval's Journey does the exact same thing as the Lord of the Rings, having 2 treasure items in every level. LEGO Marvel Superheroes marks a huge shakeup for LEGO handheld games. In an attempt to appeal to the mobile game market, they ditched tradition and completely redesigned how LEGO games work. What would normally be one level is now split up into 3 sections. They're designed to be beaten in around 1 to 5 minutes. You can no longer jump, and if you die, there's no respawning. The game was designed to be played in small bursts, easy to pick up and play, but trying to fit the structure of mobile games does not work with LEGO games for a multitude of reasons. And of course, all these changes are going to affect mini-kits and the way you normally 100% complete a level. Like instead of having collectibles, you have 10 challenges to tackle, with each one rewarding you with a gold brick. 9 out of 10 challenges will have you doing an objective like beat the level in this amount of time, or defeat this many enemies. But one challenge will always be to collect the mini-kit, so there's only 1 mini-kit per section, and 3 per level. The mini-kit unlocks a collectible card. You can view them on the cheap looking menus. Like a plague, the next 3 LEGO games would all follow the same design as the superheroes. If you were a fan of LEGO games on the 3DS, you would know that this was the worst era. LEGO Batman 3 and LEGO Ninjago Shadows of Conan would not feature any mini-kits. LEGO Batman 3 would mostly bring things back to normal by having explorable levels again. LEGO Jurassic World would have 1 mini-kit in every level, and the insanely impressive LEGO Avengers would feature no mini-kits. LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens was the last LEGO game to get a handheld version. It finally brought back mini-kits, and their reward is a micro-vehicle you could drive around the hub worlds. And that's the weird history of mini-kits in LEGO handheld games. Thanks, Ben, for having me on, and if you want to see full-depth videos talking about these weird releases, I did a whole series on LEGO handheld games that you can check out on my channel.
In every game we've covered so far, we've either had 10 mini-kits in a level, 4, 1, or 0. What if I threw a new number at you? A number none of you have ever heard of before. 5. That's right. Motherfucking 5. LEGO Movie 1 changed mini-kits a lot again. They still end up building these cool little vehicles in the game's bonus level, but it's much more akin to how Pirates of the Caribbean did it in terms of its usefulness, meaning it's not really used for anything. Let's talk about the design. This game uses golden manuals instead of canisters or chests, which is more in line with its building theme. These are simple book pieces with a LEGO manual print on the front. It's about as simple and as small as the mini-kit design ever got, and I find it to be a little boring. I get what they were going for here, but these really failed to stand out in the same way the OG canisters did. LEGO The Hobbit came out shortly after this, and although it ended up being an unfinished experience, the mini-kits weren't simply copy and pasted from Lord of the Rings, which was a surprise. Yeah, they do the exact same thing, but it's shaped like a box. Isn't that cool? This makes even less sense than the treasure chest to me, honestly. Like, what are we going for here? What is the design supposed to be? Okay, let's speedrun our next few entries because things get very stagnant. LEGO Batman 3. Same design as the other two DC games, 10 per stage, and they assemble small little models. But these are probably the weakest looking models we've seen thus far. LEGO Jurassic World. 10 per stage, they build dinosaur models in the hub, and it's the same design as LEGO The Hobbit, but instead of gems, they got bones in there. LEGO Avengers. The 10 per stage, same design as the other Marvel game, and they do the comic cover thing again. LEGO The Force Awakens. Same as the other games, but this time, you don't get mini-kit mocks, it just unlocks a vehicle. Wait, what? We had 4 games in a row that brought back the physical builds, and now they're gone? For what purpose? I guess LEGO Star Wars 3 didn't really have builds either, but this feels odd. Vehicles over characters? It's worth mentioning too that this is the only LEGO Star Wars game where the canister design is marginally different. Sure, Clone Wars changed the color of the light on the bottom, but this game tries to revamp the canister entirely, making it taller with more bells and whistles. I don't dislike this as a design, but they already set a precedent that the kit design is static throughout a franchise, and it just bugs me that it doesn't fit in. But what about the next game? Does it follow that same trend? Let's take a look. Let's see. We have LEGO Ninjago, the video game. It's a weird tagline. After 21 mainline console TT video games, we reached our first one that has 0 mini-kits at all. Instead, inside of levels, there are ancient scrolls, which function way differently than any other mini-kit type we've seen thus far. They're more akin to red bricks. This game is formatted super weirdly on its own, and it isn't really worth getting into now. But what a letdown. With the game having such a heavy focus on feeling like you're playing with physical LEGO, it could have been really cool to see what sort of mock-ups the mini-kits assemble. But I guess we'll never know. I don't know why I faded the back, it kind of just felt like the right dramatic timing. When LEGO Marvel came back with a brand new superhero game, we were brought back to basics with a mini-kit structure that resembled the previous 2 games. When LEGO The Incredibles came out next, we were in that same conversation. The only thing that changed here was the mini-kit's design, which is kind of like this, this controller-looking thing. I don't know how to describe it. I don't know whether this is a reference to something in-game or more just an approximated design like the canisters were, but I like it. I think it's distinct enough to belong in this world, and it's stuck to a formula TT Games knew that worked. I do wish, though, that in this era of mini-kitting, they chose to experiment a bit more. Even though there were some definite misses in the early 2000s, I think when they stuck the landing, they really stuck the landing. I much prefer an era of experimentation over one that just plays it safe, which is where we find ourselves with DC supervillains. So I'm really torn on this game. Here's the thing. Modern LEGO games are really slow to get through. It feels like you do one small puzzle, watch a 30-second camera pan, move a tiny bit, watch another camera pan, and rinse and repeat. It's more like you're watching a diorama than playing a game sometimes, which is why games like LEGO Marvel Super Heroes 2 feel so terrible to get through. That game had a normal amount of mini-kits sitting at 10, and when I went through to 100% it for this video here, which you should totally go watch by the way, it was torture. DC Supervillains is just as slow. The boss fights are mega improved, but the gameplay itself hasn't changed much. Which is why when I saw that the mini-kit total per level was cut in half, I was happy. I kind of hated going back through levels multiple times, especially when some of the kits in the later games felt mundane. By shrinking down the total to 5, it allowed them to make each kit more memorable and fun to grab, as opposed to half of them being filler. This game also revamped the rewards you get for completing a level, giving you concept art instead of just a mock-up build or a vehicle. And I love LEGO game concept art. I have a bunch of shorts on the topic. I think it's incredible. this was kind of a dream come true. The design of the kits as well, I mean, come on, it's the classic bat symbol kit, but it's graffitied. It just feels so right. It gives the game a separate identity, but also pays homage to a classic. It is just perfect. And do you know what lesson TT Games took from DC supervillains? That they should keep subtracting 5 from the minikit total, which is why there were absolutely no minikits in the LEGO Movie 2. I'll admit, this was terrifying. I remember when the Skywalker Saga was first announced, I was kind of nervous. Both these games have a large open-world focus, and it was the main reason that minikits weren't present in LEGO Movie 2. And I kinda got scared that the age of the minikit was over, but rest assured, they came back. And this might be one of, if not the best iteration we have had so far. I've spent a good portion of this video talking about how fun it was to fly the micro builds around Gotham City, and I preferred it to the more cosmetic reward of concept art or a comic. Luckily for us, Skywalker Saga flips that back around and brings us back to the golden age of Batman 2. Now you weren't limited to flying your micro builds inside the atmosphere. You could take them to space. Having drivable vehicles in LEGO Gotham was awesome, don't get me wrong, but it was usually easier to play as a flying character. Here, ships are required for flight, giving micro builds all the more use for things like space missions or destroying Kyber comets. This omnidirectional space travel was a new thing for TT Games, and it definitely took some getting used to. When you did finally adjust to how awkward space can be though, the missions were a breeze, almost like a victory lap, and being able to do them in these goofy looking micro builds was kind of great. They're on par if not better than the models from the complete saga, and offer way more variety with the inclusion of these sequel films. The actual canister itself is more or less the same. Again, there's 5 kits per level here, and the design is one-to-one with the complete saga. They knew what they had way back then worked, and all they had to change to make it fit with a more contemporary game was making collecting them way more worth it. I think it's really poetic that we start and end in almost the same place. If you look at the evolution throughout the LEGO Star Wars franchise on its own, it kind of defines what LEGO games are as a whole. For example, we have 2 games that are identical, LEGO Star Wars 1 and 2. The complete saga adds minikit bonuses to bump up their importance, and the Clone Wars removes the minikit models for character unlocks. The Force Awakens does this but for vehicles, and the Skywalker Saga sort of amalgamates all the ideas into one. This sort of inconsistent back-and-forth methodology of designing minikits has always been this way, and I think it's why the collectible became so iconic. You can pick up a new game and know just what they are, but you might be surprised as to what it does, in a good way or a disappointing way. If every game was the same, it would feel redundant, and trust me, we don't need more of that in this franchise. And to this date, this is the most recent LEGO game released by TT Games. They had me scared for a bit that minikits wouldn't be coming back, but with how well they were handled in the Skywalker Saga and the release of the first physical minikit with the LEGO Star Wars Advent Calendar, I think it's safe to say that they are here to stay. Why are you all looking at me like that? Alright, fine, let's talk about Dimensions. Look, this isn't a game I talk about a lot. I've been working through it for a separate video that will release way later down the line, but I just don't know much about the game to begin with. Luckily for us, minikits are an easy topic to tackle, outside of how numerous they are. Each theme stage has their own unique design, but across the game they function the same. And by that, I mean they don't do anything besides look cool. Well, and give you a gold brick, but that should be expected at this point. Seeing as TT Games could have been really lazy here and just made every individual kit look like a cosmic brick, I'm amazed that every theme got its own design. They don't even follow a template, they're genuinely all fully unique. I think my favorite might be the Bat device from the LEGO Batman movie though, as it resembles the old design with a fresh take. On top of just looking cool, they also build minikit models like in the minikit's first appearance way back in LEGO Star Wars 1, with a brand new twist. They're called minikit events. When you finish a model build after collecting all kits in a theme, a statue is assembled in the hub world that creates a minikit event. This ranges from a Space Invader minigame in the Midway arcade world to a full-on fight with the Balrog in Middle-earth. I'll leave a link to a Pack Attack video down below that showcases all the minikit events because I know the game is still really hard to get a hold of now, but I gotta say, this might be the best they've ever been. Minikits that help make the overworld feel more alive, the secret challenges you can get after collecting all of it. This is better than any stupid vehicle you can give me in Batman 2 or the Skywalker Saga. This is peak! Every one of these rewards is custom fit to the world that you find them in. It's it's incredible. I really hope this kind of reward comes back one day. I want to see how it can be handled with a more modern design philosophy. And as of April 2025, this is the entire history of the LEGO Minikit. There were some misses here and there, but there were definitely some hits, and I think all the experimentation paid off, and I really want to see where they're going to go from here in this seemingly new era of LEGO gaming. Will the functionality be changed once more? Will the numbers stay at 5 or go back up to 10 or maybe 7 or 9, some strange number in between there? Or, I guess, my biggest question is, are they ever going to come back? Only time will tell. But if you enjoyed this video, give it a like and give it a comment. It helps out my channel a whole lot. And this video was, I think about 2 years in the making, so please. I also want to know your favorite iteration of the Minikit down below. Design, functionality, and otherwise. Is it handled better now, or was it handled better in the first release, and it should never have been changed? I want to hear what you guys got to say, because I feel like my opinions definitely differ a lot from the public consensus. But thanks again to Brilliant for sponsoring this video, and thanks to you guys for watching however long this thing is. And I will see you in the next one.
Yo, what the fuck? Yo, there's no way, bro. Oh my. Oh my god. What the fuck?
Mario! The power of the stars is restored to the castle.
I think it's still for it.
And it's all thanks to you.
But,
Thank you, Mario.
oh my
We
god.
have to do something special for you.
Oh my god.
Here we go! Listen, everybody.
Yeah, it's still
Let's
for it.
bake a delicious
It's
cake.
for it.